Well, welcome to Heterochromedia Podcasts. We're not doing double feature matchmaking. We haven't done that for a while on the channel.
Yeah, we really need to get back in that.
I've been stuck doing My Immortal, and I guess we're going to continue the reading trend because we are reading the John Brown Isekai. Now,
yes,
there is a story, and I hope you're okay for a story. The first time we did this, I got yelled at because we talked 20 minutes about how we got here. Well, we have to explain this again.
Yeah, there's context.
So last year, me, Redoubt Productions, went on a vacation to Gettysburg with a humble collector over
Hello,
here.
yes.
Oh, and by the way, somebody's over here as well.
Howdy, it's me.
It's me. It's you.
It's me.
It's me. No, we're not referencing that today. That's later in the year. But we went to Gettysburg, and humble collector came out to me and said, "You know, would it be a great idea if we read a John Brown Isekai because it's getting good traction on Reddit."
Yep.
And then, of course, me, a very, very regal historian, was like, "Yeah, why not?"
Yep.
So we read it, and it seemed some people enjoyed it, some people didn't, but we enjoyed it.
A lot.
We read it the whole way
And
through.
that's what matters.
And that is what matters. So we read it, and at that time it was just a novella. It was like a 6-part novella. Well, the author, the Cabbage Preacher, was intending to make a full-fledged book.
Yes.
Now, I think the author kind of did the John Brown Isekai as an afterthought.
Yeah, it was a break from their main work that they were working on. They were taking a break, thought it'd be like a fun little thing.
And then we willed it into an existence. They're like, no, you have to make
Yeah,
more.
it became apparently, yeah, they were saying it was more viewed than their actual, like, work, their main work they were working on.
So we kind of got on their ass. Okay, not really. We politely like, we really like this and you should make more.
Yep.
But us and many other people on the net got on board and pushed for a full-fledged novel. And well,
Here it is.
the Cabbage Preacher is making the full-fledged novel. Now,
Yes.
we actually recorded this almost a year ago, or whenever the first chapter came out. we
Yeah, it was
recorded
summer of 22.
So here we are in the summer 2023, and to make it extra special, we decided we would,
Do this on location.
yes. Now, what do we mean by location?
By location, I mean we were sitting 20-ish feet from the engine house, John Brown's fort, the
Yes.
site of his raid. We were in Harpers Ferry.
We are here. There's no
That's
CGI.
John Brown.
Well, he's a brick building.
Yeah, he's over there somewhere, in spirit.
He's over there.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a metaphor.
But yeah, we were talking about how cool it would be, A, to come down to Harpers Ferry, but B, to actually read some of this at the sites that spawned, you know, this work, but also, you know, really, I can't, I'm trying to come up with something philosophical to say about the John Brown raid, but I feel like I can't do it enough
the
justice.
raid was filled with raid.
Like,
Let's be honest. If you're at this far point in watching,
you know who John Brown is.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the raid and the repercussions this had, not only just here in the United States and leading into the Civil War, but globally. You know, it really.
19th century. Here, I'll summon for it.
Yeah.
So, for the 19th century audience, John Brown was either this holy abolitionist waging a war against slavery, or he was a villainous murderer that was killing people over states' rights. For 21st century people, he is a guy who saves catgirls.
Yeah, in our case, yeah.
In this story,
Yeah.
that's how we've warped it. Us Gen Zer historians, because we like to have fun.
Yeah, we do, and it's a good work. I'm looking forward to reading it. We read the first chapter a while ago, but now we're doing it again here on site.
Now, we're going to try to get through as much as we can, but let's be honest, there's already 30 chapters of this.
Yeah, there's like 30. Yeah, the one came out 5 days ago.
We'll
It's still in
probably only get
process.
the first 2 here on location, and we'll probably do another 2 up in the house.
Yeah, up at our rental for the weekend.
But we're doing it. We are reading on ground zero of John Brown's Holy War.
Yep.
This is not what he imagined when he became a martyr.
No, but this is cool. I'm glad that we're on location.
And one final detail before I finish filming, because the whole video is we're not going to film all of it. Just we have limited resources.
Yeah.
It's audio primarily. But before we finish with the visual portion, I want to point out the outline here. This is one of the 2 outlines for the Arsenal buildings. This is why John Brown came to West Virginia, then Virginia. He wanted possession of the thousands of stand of arms that were housed in these 2 buildings. That was his mission, because he would use these, at least in theory, to arm slaves that he was going to free in the surrounding area. So with that out of the way, here we go.
All right, time to start reading.
Yep, let's get it's high tech, guys. High tech. All right.
We're swapping over.
Yep, we're doing chapter 1.
Yep.
We're not reading the prologue, and the reason is John Brown. Funny story. He tried to free slaves. It didn't work too well. He got captured here in Harpers Ferry, and then they hung him 10 miles away in Charlestown, West Virginia.
And this story picks up after he is hung.
Yes. So if you know isekai,
if you need a briefing on what it is,
how he gets
you need to go
isekai'd.
back to the original 6-part series.
You know why he gets isekai'd.
You're gonna have to link it up here with one of those little cards.
So, without any further ado, because we'll just keep delaying, here we go.
Chapter 1: His soul is marching on. Old John Brown's body lies mouldering in the grave, while weeps the sons of bondage whom he ventured all to save. But though he sleeps, his life was lost while struggling for the slave. His soul is marching on. Cut that.
Nope.
68th of winter, 5859, Mount Curry, Azdave, Casamonu. Today was a beautiful day like any other. The last few precious snowflakes were slowly floating down to the ground, racing each other in a futile attempt to cover the earth with a thin sheet of heavenly white. The birds had come back from their grand tactical retreat, celebrating once again the defeat of General Winter. These mountains, consisting of earthly dark green with disappearing hints, snow white, that were slowly beginning to brim with life, were quite a sight to behold. In the midst of the scenic mountains was one 19th century radical abolitionist known as John Brown, who had no idea where he was. The scenery around him was too ordinary to be heaven and too unscorched to be hell. We want to pass off since I know there's not a lot of dialogue in the first chapter.
He would have loved to ponder the implications of not having died after being killed, yet the old man was currently unable to do so with clear conscience. John Brown's psychological needs overrode his need to think about where the hell he was. The old man was currently without shelter and in dire need of finding sustenance, as he hadn't exactly eaten much before his hanging. Like any other rational man, Brown thought that he'd die after being hung. Looking around, Brown noticed that he was on a plateau that sat on a lower part of the mountains. There were a few trees, newly blooming plants, and plenty of melting snow to serve as water if need be. Cutting through plateau was a desire path, showing there was a larger fauna near the area. Brown saw some bushes nearby that looked like they might contain something of note, yet he couldn't recognize the odd green pear-shaped berry that crowned them. The other plants in the area, too, looked nothing like anything he had seen in the American Northeast or Midwest. Going around eating strange berries, he found the side of some road would likely lead him to a more than upset stomach, an unwanted psychedelic trip, an early second grave, or all the aforementioned free if he was to get especially unlucky.
You hate to see it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the psychedelic part.
Well, that part might be alright, yeah.
All of the above were, to put it lightly and in the politest terms, most disagreeable. Brown decided that he'd first quench his thirst before racking his brain further on the topic of eating. Thankfully, snow was mostly safe, for the standards of the 19th century, to drink without any treatment. He shoveled up a clean pile of snow from the floor and slowly melted it in his mouth. A now hydrated Brown noticed that on a slight cliff that was reachable with a little bit of parkour, a cave that... Parkour. There was a cave that blended into its surroundings. Its small entrance was covered with vines, which made it hard to notice at first glance. It seemed like good shelter, which was another thing that he currently needed. Brown also needed something to warm him up after having picked up snow with his bare hands. He found a suitable piece of flint discarded next to the road and a dry piece of bark off of one of the trees. The old man took these and climbed to the cave, laying the bark in front of it. There he took out his belt, which had a prong fashioned out of steel, and stuck its prong against the flint. Sparks came flying out of the makeshift fire starter, and soon the bark was aflame. Brown briefly warmed his hands before heading back down to find some dry twigs to further fuel that fire. His grand adventure to acquire a stick or two was interrupted when he ran into three things. He couldn't exactly find the words to describe them. The closest he could get was amorphous blobs of jumping transparent liquid with a bluish tinge. It's slime. It's slime.
It is blue slimes. But that is a good point. Would John know
what slime is?
Yeah, was slime a term in the...
That is a good
Imagine
question.
if he got reincarnated as a slime.
Oh, that would be a great plot for an isekai.
It is one.
I got it.
And It took me a second to
Yeah,
process
that
the
was the joke.
sarcasm.
It was really funny until you
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cut that.
No, there's no cutting. Only do.
only do.
All right, Jess, I think you should pick up.
Okay. Brown had been hanged exactly 127 years before slimes ever got popular. He, in great awe mixed with greater confusion, watched the curious creatures hop around. The creatures were eventually bored of hopping and decided to tackle the seemingly weak old man that had been so rudely watching them from the sidelines. The old man was definitely not expecting to be tackled by sentient balls of goo. The first slime hit Brown so hard that he almost fell to the ground. Nevertheless, Brown was not a stranger to combat, and the second one was less fortunate. It met the furious fist of a combat-ready old man who now understood that sentient balls of goo were potentially dangerous.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Dang.
There's some great
Hate to see
artwork
it.
there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The second slime lay defeated, unmoving on the ground. The first slime attempted another attack, but it joined its comrade on the ground after having an impromptu appointment with Brown's other fist. The third slime, clearly the most rational of the trio, ran away from the man who had so viciously slain his comrades in cold goo. Having completed the classic isekai ritual of slaying low-level mobs, Brown was left with 2 semi-intact balls of goop on the floor. He was curious about these creatures, so the old man leaned to take a closer look. The goo left over from the slimes had consistency similar to honey, and it also smelled ever so temptingly sweet. Brown wasn't the only one to be tempted, as a scaly lizard-like bird with a similar size to an eagle suddenly snatched one of the dead slimes and took off to the skies with it. Brown decided to take the slime that was left over. If a bird could eat it safely, then... On the way back to the cave, Brown also completed his mission of finding dry sticks. He made a proper fire by adding aforementioned sticks on top of the burning wood bark. Warm with shelter and with food, Brown had quickly climbed the bottommost floor on the hierarchy of needs. Finally, he had time to do some pondering and planning. He then sat in front of the warm fire, thanking the Almighty for providing him with his meal, while scooping up bits of slime with his hand while his brain was racked to the fullest. Where was he? Clearly he wasn't dead, nor was he in the afterlife. This place looked nothing like anything he had seen before on Earth. He had never heard or read about amorphous sentient blobs existing anywhere on the planet. It was clear to Brown, at least this must be a work of Providence. It couldn't be an accident that he was here. Clearly, the Lord must have sent him here for a purpose. So, what tune did the Lord want to play with his instrument? That was the chief question that was currently occupying Brown's mind while he died.
A trumpet? Does anybody have a trumpet?
You could put a trumpet sound effect in here. That's certainly possible.
All right.
Here
we are, continuing through.
Yes. So today was a beautiful day like any other. The last few precious snowflakes were slowly floating down to the ground, racing each other in a futile attempt to cover the earth with a thin sheet of heavenly white. The famous mountains of Curry, consisting of earthly dark green with disappearing hints of snow white that were slowly beginning to brim with life, were quite a sight to behold. In the midst of these scenic mountains was one earthling otherworlder whom had been titled Watanabe Generico by the few comrades he'd acquired. He was a young man with a protagonistly look befitting his title, short black hair, distinct lack of facial hair, and a twig-like physique. Watanabe had been a gamer in his past life, having spent many hours grinding for levels in MMORPGs and whatnot. He had gladly accepted the offer made to him after his death, to use his gaming skills to save the land of game and plots, or something vague, he wasn't sure what he had been told. Man, don't you hate that when you skip the cutscene and you have no idea what's going on?
Yeah.
However, the great ambitions of Watanabe didn't just stop at the vague notion of saving the realm. In his previous life, Watanabe had never had any chances to have any relationships with women other than his mother and his sister, which thankfully were not romantic relationships.
Okay, good clarification there.
Yeah, you never know with anime.
Nice to know.
Yeah. He wanted to rectify that in this new world. He thought of himself as the peak of masculinity, an alpha male, if you will.
Patrick Bateman.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a self-declared intellectual, spending copious times watching videos on YouTube and listening to podcasts by self-declared independent thinkers. Insert here. He thought, and the people that he listened to told him, the society on Earth must have brainwashed women into ignoring true men like him. What other rational explanation was there for his previous maidenless predicament? It's truly maidenless behavior right there.
Yeah.
No maiden.
What a word, maidenless.
Yeah? Well, you know where it's from.
No, I do not.
You don't know the meme?
No.
Oh, it's from Elden Ring.
Oh.
Yeah. The video game. Foul tarnish. No, never mind. We're getting off track. It couldn't have been the fact that he only showered once a month, nor the fact that he never went outside, and surely his predicament couldn't have come about because he always looked down at any woman he was with. No, surely a man like him would seem attractive to the traditional women of this world that he'd soon gather a harem, right? Watanabe couldn't really afford to wait, so he'd use his heroing money to buy a slave. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, is what he thought when he made the purchase, which was admittedly a very convenient price. Following him bound in chains was some slave whom Watanabe simply referred to as rye bread. He couldn't...
What a name.
Yeah, I remember that from the... I think they made that same comment in the original, if I remember correctly.
Maybe. I don't. It's been a while.
He couldn't actually bother to learn how to pronounce her name. He couldn't really bother to pronounce anyone else's name in this realm either, which was Kyauta. She was a woman around 2 heads taller than him, and she could have easily beat Watanabe to death. She really wanted to do so. She was the one who was armed and not in chains. I'll pass that off to you.
Other than having someone around him that wanted to kill him if given the chance, Watanabe Generico had another problem. He craved something sweet to eat. This other world lacked in conveniently accessible sugar found on Earth. An absence of Mountain Dew had been troubling him since the beginning of his otherworldly journey. He seemed to hit the jackpot, only in terms of his quest for sweets, when he chanced upon a plateau in the lower regions of the mountain. There lay some trees, and under their protective shade lay bushes which had green pear-shaped berries growing on them. Is this edible? I shouldn't put myself at risk, he thought. He plucked one of the berries and would have handed it to Kyauta if her hands weren't preoccupied with being in chains. Hey, be grateful. Your gracious master's given you a generous gift. Kyauta recoiled in response to the berries being presented. Sir, they are not edible. These are... What, you think you know better than me, woman? I'm a modern intellectual man of the 21st century. You should listen to my words. Come on, don't be shy. Say ah.
What a dick.
What a douche.
Yeah.
He got a prompt spurn from Kyauta in the shape of a spiteful spat towards his sploit face that splashed and spared, sploshed into sponging spheral spatter. Oh dear God. Wow, I really slid down that one.
That was a tongue twister and a half.
He was mad, quite mad, frothing even, due to his spiffy face being used like a spittoon. He raised his generic broadsword to retaliate with unjust punishment, his anger trapping him in a state of tunnel vision. Without a chance to even shout or retaliate any further, Watanabe suddenly collapsed. He hit his head on the cold, hard ground with great force that ended his springy life in another world before he got to see spring once more.
There was some great wordplay in those 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, my tongue hurts now.
Yeah.
Watanabe Generico had failed to notice the fact that John Brown had been slowly sneaking up to him. A novice mistake to not be aware of any wild abolitionists while adventuring. Yeah, these are lessons that you should learn.
Yeah, really.
Always be careful about them wild abolitionists.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Never know where they are.
They never know where they are.
Yeah.
They're in the mountains everywhere here.
In the trees, in the mountains, in the rocks.
Well, that was the plan.
In the engine house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the plan originally, right? Was
Yeah.
to retreat up into the mountains and wage a guerrilla war. Yeah.
The old man had simply done the Lord's work by caving his skull in with a large boulder. Brown quickly checked the many pockets of Watanabe Generico, finding a set of keys that he thought might be useful. He got up, intending to free Kyauta from her shackles, only to notice that she was already a few meters away. She had been doing the same thing by running away from the possibly less than sane stranger who had bashed someone's head in a few seconds ago. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair enough.
Very, very small.
Fair enough. Don't skedaddle just yet, shouted Brown, seeing that she had no intention to approach him. Brown threw the keys toward her as far as he could. Young lady, get those cuffs off. Kyauta paused for a second, leaning down to pick the keys as best as she could with her limited movement capability. She then continued her merry way away from Bran, clearly unwilling to take any chances from the wild man from the mountains. Well, you get the last 2 paragraphs.
Oh boy. Brown didn't intend to give chase. It probably caused more misunderstandings if he did so. Plus, he had a whole corpse to dispose of now. The old man had honestly hoped that he'd get a break in the afterlife, where he would finally reunite with all his family that he had lost over the years, where earthly sorrow and separation would end under the grace of the Almighty. John Brown had already considered his mission done when he had sacrificed himself to become a martyr on Earth. No matter his personal desires, if Providence had prevented his death, if he had been raised again by the Heavenly Father, then he'd never stop or falter in his divinely ordained mission. Not until he finally found himself in front of the pearly gates.
Yay!
Yeehaw.
And then I think we need to read the meme.
Yep.
So there is an image. Well, I'll be putting the image up. I shouldn't be putting the image up. If I'm not, man, you're being lazy, editor. Anyways, it says, I am Japanese isekai protagonist. Slavery is wrong, but I want a slave waifu because I fear female rejection. It's okay is because I'm nice to girls. And then the slave seller going, excellent taste, sir.
It's a quality meme.
Big Jim Slave Emporium.
Is that Big Jim?
I guess it's Big Jim.
Big Jim.
Big Jim. So yeah, that is the first chapter.
All right, do we want to read the thoughts here?
We can.
All right. So finally, I'm very happy to present to you the novel-length John Brown experience. Sorry for taking so long. I do unfortunately have IRL matters that I have to tend to.
I know that feeling.
I've had to, and will have to, spend basically all my free time either writing, drawing, or editing these last 2 months to get these chapters ready in reasonable time. Still, I do enjoy writing, and seeing people enjoy the John Brown Isekai is enough. I hope you enjoy this crazy ride. I have some insane stuff planned for the future
good.
chapters. Looking forward to it. Cheers.
I'm ready for the insanity.
P.S. The Gaiman Plot's calendar, example with the 68th of winter, 58-59 in the opening, is split into 4 seasons. Each season is split into 9 decameron,
Oh, wow.
a unit consisting of 10 days, meaning every season has 90 days. 1 year in Gaiman Plots is 360 days.
So we got a functioning calendar.
Then there's more. Psst. Here's a sneaky little secret just for you. You can read chapters early on my Patreon and support
the
your fellow human
Patreon.
being.
Support the Patreon.
And then PPS, I also opened a subreddit, r/John Brown Isekai, for the John Brown Isekai.
Go to that Reddit.
If you're
it's
interested,
pretty fun.
I haven't been there. I'm going to have to check it out.
I've checked in a few times.
If you're interested in discussing this series with 10 other people that are on there. How many people are on there currently?
That's a good question.
Let me check.
Because this was like, what?
A while ago, probably.
Yeah, I'm pulling up.
I'm gonna stretch my legs while you are doing that.
There's 162 members currently.
Woo!
I'm joining now, so it's 163.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's not much more I really can comment. That's the opening chapter. We'll see where it progresses. What?
I'm just reading some of the stuff on the subreddit.
You're just reading it.
Well, I like this dude whose post is literally, this shit goes hard AF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it to go hard AF.
Yeah, and he commented waiting for chapter 19, so we have significantly more than he did at that point of posting. Alrighty.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up,
Yep.
but we are going to be reading chapter 2 also here
and-
on location.
Yeah.
And then hopefully we'll get a few more chapters in Harpers Ferry, maybe not on location, but
Yeah,
in
but this
Harpers
evening.
Ferry. We'll see
Yeah.
what we can get through. But if you like this and you want to see more videos like this, you have to subscribe to Heterochromedia Podcast,
Yes.
where we used to just batch make double features, but
It's
now
kind of become general media review.
it's just
and,
general media. I was going to
Yeah.
say a meme.
yeah, we still need to do more.
We read fanfics
comparisons.
here. We get drunk and just watch random YouTube videos,
This
and
is
then
true.
we read historical isekai on location.
Yeah.
We are mad lads.
Fun times.
Now, if you want to go the extra mile and you want to support some of our individual projects, first and foremost,
Yes, you can find me on A Humble Collector, mostly dealing with military antiques from the First and Second World War. I'm on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be a card link somewhere here.
yeah, somewhere.
Yep.
Next,
Hello. I'm not really active on many places, mostly TikTok, where my main user now is Chaotic Stupid Shark Lover.
It's a
You
great
can
name.
remember that.
it's a great name.
I post pictures of Kenny from South Park in various places that I travel to.
You'll probably seen some from here.
Yeah, definitely. And then I also random things about like, you can hear me talk more. Yay. Okay.
And if you want to come and see me live, explore, and preserve history, you can subscribe to Redoubt Productions. And that's where the original John Brown Isekai dramatic reading is housed. But all future dramatic reads will be housed here on the Heterochromedia Podcast. All right, we're at the half-hour mark, so we're going to wrap it. Okay, only the 24-minute mark. I guess we have to BS for 6 minutes, or
We can do that.
we can get a jump start on Chapter 2. So,
I say we get.
I think we're going to end this a little
Yeah.
early, and we'll start in Chapter 2. So, until next time.